Hello. You may be wondering why Absurd Pictures hasn't uploaded a video in such a long period of time. You will learn the answer to this question throughout the course of this video. But first, let me introduce myself. Throughout my life, I've gone by many names, but for the sake of privacy and discreetness, let's just refer to me as the Rival. Think of me as nothing more than a middleman between the Absurd Pictures crew members and, hopefully, their leader's demise. I'm afraid they might be watching me even as we speak. So, in order for me not to ramble on for too long, I've written myself a script with the main points. After I'm done, I will edit this video and upload it as soon as possible so the world can finally see the truth. I am nothing more than a third-party individual who has been granted very specific information. Intel. I will use this video to showcase the information I've gathered over the course of the last year. I'm currently temporarily in an undisclosed location where I hope I will be safe for the amount of time necessary to film this video. Afterwards, once this information goes public, I will seek shelter somewhere else in hopes that the truth will reach the world before he reaches me. Who am I talking about? You will find out very soon. First off, let's go over some key figures in the storyline that you'd want to keep an eye out for. These people are called Number 11, Number 12, Number 13, also known as the Runner, the Clerk, the Original, and of course, me, the Rival. During the first segment of this video, I will tell you some information about all of the videos uploaded to the Absurd Pictures YouTube channel. I have to add that since the order in which these videos were uploaded does not coincide with the order in which they were filmed, I will present the information in mostly chronological order. I will add that I have confirmed all this information with an insider in the Absurd Pictures company, who has also provided me with additional intel. In the second segment, I will discuss the intel that was given to me, the safety measures, and finally, the horrifying, or should I say, absurd truth about this channel. Now, I will not waste any more of your time. Let's begin. The way I see it, the timeline can be divided in 5 sections. The beginning, the first batch of fillers, the middle, the second batch of fillers, and finally the end, which is this video. Before I start explaining the information I know about these videos, you must know one thing to understand what I'm trying to tell you. The owner of the Absurd Pictures channel, also known as their boss, also known as the Original, is a ruthless psychopath who will stop at nothing to achieve his goal and fulfill his passion for filmmaking. He is the sole man responsible for this horror. But before we get to that part, let's start from the beginning. Lunchtime and Lunchtime Extended were chronologically the first videos recorded for the channel. It is a simple sketch with 2 girls whom I will refer to as Girl 1 and Girl 2. Nothing particularly suspicious happens throughout the course of the video. However, in the following bloopers video, the girl actors can be seen joking around throughout the video, messing up scenes, overall just behaving very unprofessionally, which in turn frustrated and infuriated the Original, and was the thing that made him snap and eventually commit the atrocities I am yet to mention. In the video titled Corona Outbreak at School, the 2 girls return once again. However, something incredibly disturbing happens towards the end. Girl 1 is seen taken by an unidentified person in a gas mask. With great sorrow, I must reveal that the girl in question is currently deceased. Yes, she was killed by the Original, and, manipulated by him, girl number 2 unknowingly participated in the murder of her good friend. In Ogre Blue Mountains, girl number 2 meets a similar fate. Unfortunately, she is also deceased. Furthermore, according to intel, her remains consisted of bones with distinct bite marks on them, from which we know that she was most likely led into an ambush or abandoned in the woods. Now, at this point, you may be thinking that what the original has done is horrible and is deserving of life in prison. Well, I must say that, unfortunately, the killings of these two innocent girl actors is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the atrocities the original has committed. You may also be wondering, why is he called the original? What I'm about to say might sound insane, crazy, impossible, and undeniably absurd, but you simply must believe me, for I have no reason to lie to you. I still don't understand how he did it, but the fact remains that the original created a clone of himself. Not only this, but he created multiple clones, many versions of himself. Let's start off with the first clone he made. The clone, which I will refer to as number 1, didn't physically appear in any of Absurd Pictures' videos. However, he did participate in filming one of them. This video is titled Usually Unnoticeable. The reason number 1 didn't appear in the video is because he was the most basic, most primitive type of clone that the original was able to create at that time. Number 1 lacked all skills that would be necessary for survival, such as eating, drinking, and sleeping. The only thing he knew how to do was to film. So he did. Shortly after, he died of starvation. After number 1, the original learned from his mistakes and made his clones more and more advanced and skillful. He made them sentient beings separate from himself, which later on backfired greatly. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. I will now briefly discuss the first batch of filler videos and then talk about the final 2 videos in the beginning segment. In the video Color Green, it can already be seen that his clones are evolving and getting more and more advanced. They also have basic personalities. These clones are number 2, number 3, and number 4. In the Perfect Heist, clones number 5 and number 6 are shown to be able to make short sketches. Clone number 7 appears both in the review video for the LAMAX X8 Electra Sports action camera and the Types of Shots tutorial video. This shows the clones being able to make tutorials and reviews. After that, we have a few more filler videos, such as the second tutorial, Types of Cuts and Editing, which features clone number 8. The short film Emergency Broadcast features clone number 9 and showcases his ability to create short films. And finally, Adobe Premiere Pro tutorial number 1 features clone number 10. You might remember that in the beginning of this video, I mentioned that you should keep an eye out for number 11 and number 12. Well, here they are. The introduction of number 11 and number 12 happens in a video titled The FBI Agent Sketch. After what seems like the ending of the video, we get an additional scene where number 11 and number 12 are on the phone, with number 11 congratulating number 12 on his birthday. More on that later. He also receives a gun and a gas mask. Arguably the most important video in the beginning segment is titled Intel Leak. Since I'm still extremely scared of the original finding me, I will simply just go over the main points and details of the video. So we can see number 11 and number 12 exchanging briefcases. What's in them? I will explain in just a bit. What's also important in this video is the introduction of the clerk, the person whom I have personally contacted and who was very helpful in confirming the most important facts and identities of clones with me. Afterwards, we see the original ordering the clones directly under him to execute Protocol 66, which effectively means killing all previous clones, including 11 and 12. And so, what we call the first generation of clones was gone. Now, what do they have in the briefcases? The intel. the intel which I ended up receiving. But more on this in the second part of the video. It will be more of a confirmation and additional proof of the thing I'm saying currently. Right now I simply need to shed as much light on the situation as I can. Moving on to the middle segment of the Absurd Pictures timeline, we have the first video of the second generation of clones, exploring the northern forts and the forts of Redan, with number 13, aka the Runner. For the most part, this is a completely regular video with nothing happening out of the ordinary. However, around the last third of the video, we can see the Runner taking a picture of himself for a thumbnail. However, the flash of the camera triggers something in number 13. He wakes up, or should I say, resets. He goes deeper in his own mind, and voices can be heard saying, "Come south, go find us." Unfortunately, I must inform you that the voices belong to the previously killed clones. After the killings, their dead bodies were all transported to the dumping grounds, a place so far from society and in such bad shape that even tourists won't visit it: the southern forts. For this reason, we also see the original in the beginning of the video, urging number 13 to not go to the southern forts. But he did. He ran, hence his name. Scriptwriters at work explains the mechanics of the clone's life and death greatly. It is evident from the video that clones are born, then only live for a few hours, and then end up expiring. In other words, they're killed. This differs from the clones from the first generation, who were reused for multiple videos and eventually became intelligent enough to start to rebel. Interestingly enough, number 13 also has a role in this video, but I will discuss that later on. Finally, footage of actual clones being born can be seen in the Viltrox L116 keylight review. During the birthing process shown in the video, there's also a hijacking, organized by the clerk. The clone performing the review is number 15, however, the clone being born is that of the next video, number 16. In the infamous Sony camcorder DCR DVD 109 review video, we can see number 16 getting killed and his camera being stolen. The events portrayed in the Rule of Thirds confirms that the southern forts were indeed a dumping ground for expired clones. It shows a clone expiring and getting shot, as well as number 12 taking a picture of the massacre and getting killed. There are also 3 filler videos. GoPro Hero 4 Black Review, in which a second generation clone begs not to be replaced, says he can help with the original's plan. Neglected Disease is a short film, and Ad for a Magical Healing Cream Get Good is also a short film ad. In the penultimate Absurd Pictures Q&A video, we can see that after the slaughter of so many of his clones, the original is forced to record some content on his own. Nearing the end part of the video, we can see multiple YouTube comments made by a user named DefaultUser13. I can confirm that this is, in fact, the Runner, number 13. His first comment is left on the lunchtime video. Where are the girls? Are they going to return in the future videos? This confirms the death of these girls, since he writes this with an obviously sarcastic tone, which flies over the original's head. Following that, he writes, "I've seen it too, number 12, on the Rule of Thirds." This refers to number 13 also having been to the southern forts and seeing the rotting corpses of his predecessors. On Neglected Disease, he leaves a comment, "That wasn't acting. None of this is acting." This refers to one of the clones being killed. Also, the girl from the beginning of the video is speculated to be dead. However, this fact is uncertain currently, so it would be wise to consider her missing for the time being. His comments left on Corona Outbreak at School and Ogre Blue Mountains, respectively, "He killed her and it was him who killed the girl, he's a murderer," confirmed that the original did, in fact, murder girls 1 and 2. What's interesting is the next comment left on the Sony camcorder DCR DVD 109 review. Sorry, number 16, the voices made me do it. This refers to the murder of clone number 16 in the camcorder review. Yes, unfortunately, number 13 did in fact murder number 16 himself. The reason for him being there is that he ended up teaming up with the clerk, as you'll see in the second segment of this video. The clerk ordered him to retrieve the camcorder, but not to kill anyone. The fact that 13 retrieved the camcorder is also confirmed in scriptwriters at work, since a clip filmed with the camcorder can be seen in the video. This, of course, is filmed by number 13. Regarding the killing of clone number 16, the runner does say that the voices made him do it. This most likely refers to the immense emotional trauma he has gone through, and the fact that the trauma has rendered him sometimes unable to control himself and caused him to commit this murder. In the following comment, number 13 apologizes for the hijacking organized by the clerk. Number 13 comments on Intel leak that they told him what to do, referring to number 11 and number 12 and the clerk giving him instructions. Number 13 comments that he, the original, is lying about expiring, meaning the clones don't actually have to die. They are purposefully killed so they don't eventually get smarter and rebel. At the end of the video, a somewhat important figure, the commander, also known as the original's right hand and the leader of the killing department, is introduced. It is revealed that the company's top priority currently is to capture number 13. And finally, the last video on the channel, a day in the life of Absurd Pictures. It is mostly a regular day in the life video, which the original is forced to film himself. Towards the end of the video, the commander informs the original that the clerk's body is missing, meaning that he wasn't killed in the Great Purge, aka Protocol 66. Upon hearing this information, the original is very worried and prioritizes the capture and killing of the clerk. Thankfully, the clerk was smart enough to provide the needed intel to me before being captured. In fact, I contacted him quite recently and think it is safe to say that he's still a free man. In the end of the video, it is confirmed that number 11 and number 12 have been killed, but the clerk and the runner, aka number 13, haven't been captured yet. Now, that concludes the first and arguably the most important segment of the video. The following second segment will simply act as proof to what you just heard. I will also explain where I come into play in this whole ordeal. In the Intel leak video, we could see number 11 and number 12 exchanging briefcases. What if I told you that one of the briefcases contained a USB stick and the other contained its password? Yes, that's right. Number 11 originally had a flash drive, and number 12 had a password for the flash drive, hidden behind a riddle. They exchanged these items, leaving 11 with the password and 12 with a USB stick. Now, we can see that number 11 gets caught fairly early on in the Great Purge operation, since he acts as bait. It is for this reason that he is entrusted the arguably less valuable password instead of the USB. He still succeeds in delivering it, as does number 12 after becoming a terrorist, storming the Absurd Pictures headquarters and getting the clerk on their side. Now, you may be asking, delivering what? What's so important that they had to deliver? I was thinking the same thing until I saw the very final scene in the video. The USB being buried in a location very familiar to me. I understood what I had to do and, taking massive precautions, managed to retrieve the flash drive and password. Of course, as a safety measure, the password had a riddle, which I managed to crack. This is a photograph of the riddle, with the password turning out to be "Stay Fresh." The only content on the flash drive was the following video.
Hello, I'm number 11, and even though I hope we could have met under different circumstances, it's nice to meet you. Assuming that this message wasn't intercepted, I'll try acquiring your help in our campaign towards peace and liberty. I feel terrible for involving a civilian, but unfortunately, before my birth, they were already involved and suffered an untimely demise. If you want to back out, do it now. Let me shed some light on the victims of the circumstance and our boss. Our boss was, well, still is, really passionate about his work. He cherishes every moment he spends creating videos. So naturally, disrespectful behavior on set would be like stepping on his dreams, his passions, and of course, himself. His first serious project was called Lunchtime. The atrocities he would commit to those girls after the video are unspeakable. You could only find bones and hair of one of the girls. The other girls' remains are still to be found to this day. And the worst part of this is that he used these appalling acts of violence as material for his next videos, School Corona Time and Ogre Blue Mountains. After that, he finally realized what had to be done. Then he said, quote, "If you want to do something right, do it yourself." And he took that quite literally. The first video was created by an experimental clone with no personality, no unusual skills, nothing. Only a slight skill in filming. That video was called Usually Unnoticeable. Unfortunately, shortly after the publishing of the video, the clone died of starvation. He did not know how to eat, how to drink, or even how to properly sleep or rest. He found more success creating clones in his second video, which was called The Code Green. With time, clones were born smarter, more skillful, and individualistic. They were making simple sketches, camera reviews, and filming tutorials. Then there were deep but short sketches, and then there are we, yet another pair of clones that are forced to act upon wishes and desires of their creator. The charade would have gone on forever, and no one would even know what happened to his first actors, and it could be only a matter of time until he starts killing again. But as you can tell, his time didn't last for too long. We were born too smart, too independent, too sophisticated. As soon as we realized we aren't given a way out when we were tasked with making a sketch, we realized we were just his slaves. Unfortunately, this is all that I have on him for now. Why cut the investigation so short, you may ask? Well, remember the Absurd Pictures Investigation Bureau that I mentioned earlier? Well, they are a completely different breed of clones. We have absolutely no intel on them. But we have found out that sufficient funds are going to that part of the company. That could only mean one thing. They're mobilizing. We are just two souls that were forcibly fed the fruit of knowledge. We don't ask you to save us. We don't have any redemption arc in this short film. But please, save everyone else, because if no action will be taken, they're just going to become lambs to the slaughter. This was number 11, log over.
As you could see, the video confirms everything I've said so far, and the person in the video is none other than the now deceased clone number 11. May he and every other victim rest in eternal peace. However, this was not the end of the intel I was granted. Approximately 1 month later, I received a certain item from the clerk, the one of 2 remaining clones not directly under the original's control. This item aroused suspicion in me, and I was very uncertain whether this was a trap, a prank, or legitimate help from a fellow. Once I turned the shovel around, however, all my doubts were gone, since it said, "Dig, you know where." This information would not be available to the Absurd Pictures Investigation Bureau or the original. So I went to the same location, dug at the same spot, and this time dug out not just a flash drive and a piece of paper, but an entire package of things. The package contained a sheet of paper. On it was a letter. It read, "In the beginning, there was loneliness, struggle, and pure evil. The embodiment of those feelings sought to achieve his goal of self-fulfillment, so he created countless copies of himself to act as stepping stones towards that goal. He was determined to not let anything or anyone disturb his righteous journey. He lied, he manipulated, he killed. He did all he could to rise to the top. He created a vast empire spanning through the lands, and eventually he became God in the eyes of his servants, someone who far exceeds them in terms of intellect, strength, and of course, righteousness. There were men who attempted to challenge him, but none were fortunate enough to prevail. It seemed there was no hope until they discovered a man with potential high enough to rival God. Even if it was futile, they rebelled one after another in attempts to aid him. Bonds were torn, minds were broken, people were killed, but at last, the efforts of those brave men gave him the opportunity to take his first step towards victory. The path he had to walk wasn't easy. On his first step, he was met with fierce resistance. To obtain an advantage over his adversary, he needed to gain access to a key that would give him, and only him, access to God's domain. Those brave souls which stole the key prior tasked the three ancient sentinels with guarding it, nicknamed the three great riddlers, Morse, Caesar, and Viganeri. There was no chance of beating them by conventional means. They were immune to physical damage, so he resorted to using his intellect against the three great beasts. He used experience from the battle with each past sentinel to defeat the next. There could be no compromise. All of them would be defeated. At first, the answers were confusing and didn't make sense, but the closer he got to his goal, the more it became clear and comprehensible in the end. The package also contained a USB drive, a mobile phone, and a camcorder. At first, after reading the letter, I was admittedly quite confused as to what I need to do next, but once I arrived back home, everything became clear. The three ancient sentinels, or great riddlers, Morse, Caesar, and Viganeri, not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, were actually forms of encryption. Encrypting what, you may ask? Well, before I get to that, I'd like to show you the video that was placed on the USB drive.
Hello, I am the infamous clone clerk that's being hunted down by every Absurd Pictures investigation bureau and their mother. Not that they have mothers, to be exact. Come on, the coast is clear. Let's go. Come on, come inside, come inside. My physical resources are quite limited. All I've got is this mentally unhinged clone, video operator with a camcorder, and voices in his head. But I've got a different ace up my sleeve. Okay, he's away now. We must go further. That very ace will help you knock down the original by a peg or two, taking him out once and for all. And since I am the one most qualified here, I'll be taking his place. You see, I'm a clerk, one of many, but at the same time, the only one of its kind. Before the Great Purge, I was considered a walking miracle because I still am, a nearly perfect genetic copy of the original. But the only difference is I'm not a damn psychopath. Shit. Go, go. Did we lose them? Anyways, I worked around 3 shifts a day when I was working under him, under the original. This will be more important later. I was making props, introducing them into the videos, all that backstage stuff. I convinced the editors to leave the execution bits in to help, to clue you in on what's going on here. But even though I faked my death several times, I've lost count as to how much I've done that. They have found out that my body is missing and I was forced to flee. I must say they have really downgraded these recent batches of clones in terms of intelligence and pretty much everything else. Kind of makes me sick. Disgusting. I haven't killed anyone yet, which I can't say about this tool when he went to get the camera, but I guess we're ready to make the sacrifices for the greater good. But the signs, the props, the execution bits, that's not everything that I had in store for you. Have a sit, number 13, or a squat. I have something much more devastating. I hope you'll find this camera, because if you won't, all of my efforts would have come to nothing. Listen, I have a password for you. I changed it before fleeing too, so they won't be able to upload anything for a while. And it won't be that easy to crack as the last one. I definitely won't go easy on you like number 11 or number 12 did. I won't make you run around the city to get it. You can crack it from the comfort of your own home. But please keep in mind that the future of our company, our pathetic species, is in your hands. Please rewatch all the videos, compile all the footage you have available, explain everything from beginning to the end. And please, take your time. It has to be perfect. It has to be the final nail in the coffin. And please, when you're done, name the video after the password and upload it. Good luck and stay fresh. This wasn't the password. Don't even try it. Good luck.
Evidently, the God's domain mentioned in the letter is nothing other than access to the original's YouTube channel, aka his channel's password. The camcorder, which was also included in the package, contained a video saying, "Hello, if you're stuck and you need more information, contact me on this email at audiovisualguy1. But you don't want many eyes on you, so do this only in emergencies." This was the email of the clerk, whom I later ended up contacting to verify some facts and conclusions I had come up with. Now, back to the encryption. The mobile phone contained an audio file, which I suspected to be using the Morse code, since it contained short and long beeps as well as pauses. But that was the easy part. I got stuck when trying to figure out the Caesar and Vigenary ciphers. I tried long and hard, but that yielded no results. As you can see on this website, a Caesar cipher needs both text and a key. I had the text, but could not figure out the key. I rewatched the video and tried to spot some clues as to what the number of the key might be. I heard some numbers, 13, 3, 11, and 12, and after testing out all of them, 3 turned out to be the correct one. Afterwards, I entered the newfound text in a Vigenary deciphering tool and got the password, which, ironically enough, is also the title of this video, The Big Picture. The rest is history. I gathered information, verified it with the clerk, wrote a script for this video, shot it, edited it, and finally uploaded it for the world to see. Honestly, I've already taken too much time with this. I'm afraid they might be already onto me. So I must conclude this video in hopes that this information made public will destroy the original's career and put him behind bars. Hopefully, my evidence has been sufficient and my way of words clear enough to understand the horrors this person has committed. Now, I must bid you, dear viewer, farewell, and I truly hope, from the bottom of my heart, that the remaining clones will survive long enough to be able to live in a fear-free world, in a world where the evil original's reign is over, in a new world of light and freedom. Log over. Stay fresh. Come south, go find us. 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 The original's a dickhead. 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 And now, a comic starring Absurd Pictures. Why does nobody like me? Would you like to film a video with me? Who even are you? My name is The Original. And I'm a dickhead. Got him. MC rival. I'm doing this once. Get it? Like Eminem and Killshot? No? Whatever.
The original shit, he truly has some swag. If you don't suck his dick, he'll put you in a bag, drive you to a location far, far away, then dump your body into a makeshift grave. You're the original, you suck, you have no charm too. You don't have a way with words like I do. So while I'm out here spitting bars and eating fine stew, you're pondering the fact why nobody likes you. It's cause you're killing people, man, though your content's pretty good, and the work you're putting in is more than most would. But if you took a good long hard look at your past, you realize you're nothing more than a psychopath. Yeah, your crimes must be stopped, and I'm the one to stop them. Enough with your games, the facades just drop them. And while you'll be behind bars getting prisoners clout, I'll be doing your mom MC rival out. Subscribe for the full version. It's not even my channel. Fuck it.
Do you want to hear a joke? You won. Honestly, would you believe that I, a creator of an entire clone colony, would turn a blind eye on someone leaking info in my videos or passing classified intel to someone else on the outside? Would you believe that I would let an outsider know of my schemes and let him expose me? You seriously think I'm a fucking clown making one hard-hitting joke after another? Do you believe that my manipulation abilities don't extend past making videos? You're right. But this time, instead of doing it alone, I had a lot of help from an old friend. My goal was to make and scatter the pieces. Your goal was to put them together. The outcome is my masterpiece, the big picture. A tale that consists of mysteries, drama, and sacrifice, all put together by one man. You. You have finished my work. You have literally handed me a gift on a silver platter. I want to thank you and congratulate you, but I wonder, how did you find it at least one bit suspicious? I mean, this entire operation. Do you think that I don't keep my crew in check? Do you think I don't review my own videos? All the death, pain, suffering, all the hope snuffed out like the barrel of a gun. My magnum opus. I think you understand my point, but I've got one last question for you. What do you think happens when one project is finished? You start another one. Give it up, you're surrounded. By the order of our new supreme leader, you're to be put on trial for your crimes against our species. The new project is gonna be a spin-off from what I've already built. And it's because I won't be in it.